I'm here with John Hanley, Chair of UKspace. So you're a man that wears not one hat but two, right?
Yes, so I run the space division at CGI, and I also represent the UK industry in the space sector.
And tell us a bit about the role that UKspace has in the industry.
So UKspace has been around for I think about 25 years, and we now represent 178 companies within the UK, from SMEs right up to your big space primes. And it formed very much to try to get a single voice from industry so that we could engage with academia, but also to help influence government and go as Team UK internationally over the last sort of 20 years. And it has become very vibrant in the last, I'd say, 5 to 6 years, where we've increased our membership significantly.
And what role does partnerships have in that? How important are partnerships?
So that's something that is becoming ever more important now, with the National Space Strategy, with the launch of the BASE team, the reformation of the Space Agency, Space Command and MOD. All of those owners of space in the UK, they need a workforce, they need industry to be as good as it can be and have all the right attributes to deliver on their ambitions. And the only way we're going to do that is with partnership. And we are in the process of building a national space partnership, which basically has your leaders in academia, industry and government all coming together to try to progress our shared goals.
And what role can governments play in progressing the space sector?
So the space sector is an interesting sector. I personally believe, and a lot of my colleagues in industry believe, that government does have a very important role in setting the right environment for the space sector to thrive. And we've seen this all over the world. In the States, for example, the big Elon Musk stories that you hear about, there is government involvement in the back end of those big private ventures. In the UK, it's been very much a hands-off approach, although we're beginning to see now that the setting the scene with a strategy and an industrial policy will then allow them to have a bit more influence on how the sector grows and the priorities that the nation focuses on with regard to capabilities, markets, and also how we can then get out to the wider world when it comes to exports and international partnerships as well.
From a CGI perspective, what does the future look like?
So from a CGI perspective, I mean, we, as a company in the space sector, we don't build satellites, we don't build hardware, we build the software that brings the data from satellites and effectively integrates it into everyday life. So how do you use satellite navigation and transport systems? How do you use Earth observation for climate change applications? How do you use specific data from SATCOMs, for example, and LEO satellites for safety cases? So from our perspective, we're seeing a really exciting growth in CGI, because space is really exciting, satellites are really exciting, but you need to be able to do something with that data that creates a market on, makes things better for citizens or makes things better for businesses. And that's effectively what me and my team do. We look at how we integrate that into the bedrock of society, and that's only going to become more and more important as space services become more progressive through all of our lives.
And how important is it to have a space event here in the UK to get people meeting face to face again?
So I think this is the second year of Spacecom, and it's, I suppose, what I'd like to see at the next one is that we're maybe a bit more outward looking in terms of some of the adjacent sectors to space. This is great for reconnecting post-pandemic with our colleagues, partners, competitors. But I think a lot of us would like to now try and bring in, some of those adjacent markets that have problems that space can solve. So transport organisations, health organisations, all the companies here have solutions that can be translated into other sectors. And I think maybe that's something that we would like to expand on this type of an event, where we get maybe more people who don't realise what space can do for them. 2 weeks ago, Farnborough International was here. The air show, aerospace did exactly that. We had a space zone within the aerospace industry, and lots of companies who didn't know much about space or supplied to the aerospace sector, found that there was a crossover, and then and we started to see some incubation of some business there. So if we can do that with some other sectors, I think that would be really good.
So back next year?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.